Welcome in to the Fade the Field Dynasty Fantasy Football channel. This is going to be the first episode of a series I'm going over, talking about the best fantasy football league in the world, the Lakeview Fantasy Football League. Now, of course, you're probably wondering, why? Why would I watch content on a league like this? Let me tell you, the activity, the chaos, and the drama is over the top, along with other information that will be the primary motive of this channel, trying to give you information, keep you filled in on this league. Let's go over a couple things to start it off. First of all, we'll hit the league settings here in a second, but I would like to give you just the format. So we'll use my team to start it off. We are in one quarterback, two running back, two wide receiver, tight end, two flex, kicker defense. I'm a kicker defense hater. We don't need them. They aren't that relevant. Most leagues don't even have them. We'll keep that out of the discussion for the most part. But after you've seen a little bit of that format, let's take a peek over at the settings here. A couple unique things here for our league. We are 5-point passing touchdown. We play right in the middle of the 6 where the passing QBs are just as valuable as the running. And the 4, which is more standard, where you'll have your rushing QBs steadily outscoring your quarterbacks, which we just determined is not an accurate depiction of how they actually play. We also reward first downs quite a bit in this league. You'll see for all three of the major setting parts, we do reward passing, rushing, and receiving first downs, with rushing getting a bump over this offseason later on, up to 0.25 to be even with the passing and receiving. We also get a bonus for a pass completed and a bonus for each rush attempt. Couple things out of the ordinary, but the biggest thing that stands out here, and I'm sure you're wondering, why do you have long play bonuses in here? Well, here in the LFFL, a lot of drama can happen every Sunday. Watching a game down 16, you never know what could happen. It could always be a long bomb touchdown. All of a sudden you rise from the ashes and you get a win when you expected a loss. We compare it a lot to the witching hour of the old red zone, that wins do become losses, and losses become wins because of that big play bonus. Moving on towards the receiving aspect of things. We're just a half-point PPR. We're right in the middle. We don't want the receivers to be too valuable. We don't need the tight ends to be incredibly valuable. But we still have the receiving bonuses like we talked about. They are a little bit higher than rushing, so we reward the pass catchers in that way. And also, new addition that we've added this year, we finally bumped up from the old standard 0.25 tight end reception bonus. We're finally up at half a point per reception bonus for a tight end. So all of our tight ends that are sitting in the middle ground, the Zach Ertz of the world, the Tucker Krafts of the world, they now have a lot more relevancy because of this. We also have an additional bonus for receiving first downs for a tight end. On top of this 0.25 they get here, they also get an extra 0.25 as another part of our tight end bonus we're adding. So, if you get a 10-yard first down from a tight end, not only do you get the yardage points, the touchdown if there potentially is one, you also get a whole 0.5 for that receiving first down and a whole full point for that reception as well. Outside of that and the general league settings, let's just recap a little bit of the history, some of the way that things are the way they are. No better way to look at that than our all-time standings. Our league's been going for 6 strong years, and we still only have 6 teams above 500. We'll rip off some of our usual suspects that we'll be all too familiar with by the end of this. We have Mr. RK Boomer up top, Cameron sitting here in second. Then we have a collage of D Boomer, J Nasty, and Nate Dude all sitting here at 43 wins all time. And then myself sitting here at 6 at 42 and 40. And then we have Sean finishing out the top half of the all-time league standings. Top half, there's 7 teams. We are a 14-team league. That's a little different too. Keep that in mind later on when I go over some of the things. Sean is sitting there at 41 and 41, tied with A. Harris, who took over in the league as an orphan last year. He's also tied with Dog Pound Damus, former commissioner, current co-commissioner. And the reason this league's been running for as long as it has, we call him the heart and soul of this league. He hands out all punishments when things aren't done right, and he has kept the league alive with his bare hands for a good 12 years strong now. Post-production me here. Wanted to check in here and make sure I gave my flowers to all the right people. current head commissioner is RK Boomer. He does a lot of stuff for the league, and I made it sound like he didn't. That's on me. Gotta give the flowers where the flowers are deserved. Also, I don't touch on it here when I go down to J. Cole, but J. Cole also is a co-commissioner of this league. Finishing out some of the more bottom feeder teams, we have Sax Money a little bit below 500, and we finish out with J. Cole, JZT, Beef, and then poor old 4th and 20 down here with one of the most rough records in the league. Back here to inform you of the former champs we've had in this league. Forgot to throw in the first one. 2019 champ D Boomer, 2020 champ RK Boomer, 2021 champ Sax Money, 2022 champ J Nasty, 2023 champ Cam Gilbert, 2024 champ ya boy L3 Ryan. Back to the good content. Hopefully this is the last time I'm coming in afterwards. Just to add a little context to how we are, where we are right now. Like I said, 6 years deep into this league, we have had some interesting changes go down throughout the lifetime, but here's where we're at now. We can keep 14 players throughout the offseason. So if we go back over to my roster, you can see I have the standard 8 here in the starting spots, and I have this full bench here. So I'm at 15 right now. I need to cut one more. Spoiler alert again, it's probably Alexander Madison going to Miami. But with only being able to keep 14, it keeps more parity in the league. Worse teams can become better by hitting on a nice third-round draft pick. For example, Nico Collins got dropped a couple years back, picked up in the 3rd round, and you know what his value's at now. We also have an extreme running back inflation in this league. If we go over specifically to players, and if we can view the history of someone, Mr. JZT has went in for DeAndre Swift, and you are not seeing things. He did give 2 25 first-round picks and Ty Chandler, who looked a lot more promising than he does right now, just for DeAndre Swift and a measly 4th-round pick. This gives you a little scope on how things are in the league. We have undervalued picks, partially my fault, partially fault of Le'Veon Bell being traded for 3 first-round picks back in the day in our first start of the league. If that gives you any time frame of when this league's been going on for, yeah, it's been a while. Additionally, in this league, we have a lot of in-person events. It's a blast. We have one coming up here in a little over a month for the draft. We all get out and golf together, then we go in, watch whatever event's happening. We all get together for our rookie draft that we do late in August to build some hype up for the season. We get together at the end of the year. We hand out awards. We get some food, just guys having a good time. Other than that, I think we're ready to move on a little bit. Maybe check out. I've showed you most of my roster, but let's make sure we're all familiar with it again. Start off, quarterback Jordan Love. I am a Packers guy, so you will see that bias showing through a little bit on this team. Couple running backs that I consider in the RB1 tier, Chuba and Devon Achane both. Just top 14 guys. Achane a lot more boom potential than Chuba. Chuba maybe is more touchdown dependent, but of course, we're just giving the intro on the teams. You don't need to worry about how I value people yet. Puka is the staple at our wide receiver. I have him as a top 5 guy in all of my rankings. Puka has insane opportunity for the future, and I think he's in a great spot. Rounding out the other 3 receiver positions, we have Calvin Ridley, Jalen Waddle, and Brandon Ayuk. These are more of the mid-tier guys. Ridley, much lower than the other 2. But it's safe to say they have a nice mid-wide receiver floor and then high ceilings, depending on what the state of their offenses are going in next year. Here at tight end, we have Trey McBride, he's a very good player. Most people's consensus tight end too, but he's no Brock Bowers. There's a significant gap between those two in most rankings as well. Touching on the bench here, you can see that we have Drake May sitting in here as my backup quarterback. I just acquired him in a trade a couple days back, straight up for Tucker Kraft. I had to let some of my Packers bias go and put my chips all in on a guy that I believe in Drake May. I think he has a ceiling of a top 5 quarterback in the league, and I don't think I can say the same about Tucker Kraft, and thankfully my team's at a spot where I can take those shots on guys. Here we also have Trey Benson and James Conner holding down the bench. Those are my bench running backs. Madison will be gone, like I said. This makes me feel real good having a backfield for the next at least 2 years. Hopefully Benson has the upside to hold it down for even longer. Our receiver depth basically comes down to Devontae Adams and Romeo Doubs. Devontae, of course, much better situation. Tail end of his career, hoping to get some upside out of him this season for point scoring. Dobbs is more of a play it by ear, see what happens with the Packers offense. You never know how the receivers are going to be year to year. And then I also have David Njoku sitting down here as a very, very solid backup tight end who I am very high on myself. Moving on towards the picks that you can see here, it's real rough here for me. I have the 107 in this year's draft, which is a somewhat valuable pick given the depth of this RB class and the way that running backs are evaluated in this league. And I also have this 2026 first from Team 4th and 20, who are probably a couple videos away from seeing his team. But let me tell you, it's rough. He's going to have a hard time rebuilding. He is in a very, very hard rebuild as well. So now that you're familiar with my team, let's take a peek at this graph that I've made. This is a team breakdown that I myself make, and of course I had to make it for this team so I could be fair across all the teams in the league. Shows the settings, team name, roster, a few other things. And if this is something you're interested in seeing for your Dynasty team, reach out to me in the comment section of this video or at my fantasy football Twitter at KEENEBRIEN. Feel free to reach out there, and I will be in contact with you about how to get your very own team breakdown coordinated with your league and your league mates and values that you have in your league compared to mine. Of course, we've all seen the starting lineup. We've been through it 3 times now. Let's take a peek down here at this key. You can see the players are highlighted either one of 3 colors with green, gold, and red. Green, guys I consider a buy. I view them higher than their consensus value. These are guys that if you don't have on your team, I'd recommend going out and getting. Gold. These are guys that I'm very even on compared to consensus. It's tough when you have very valuable players like Puka and Trey McBride to be far off of consensus because everyone knows they're so talented. But then there's guys like Benson, Dobbs, Drake May, where I'm right around par with on them. Then under red, we have the sell guys. These are guys that I'm actively moving off of my team as soon as I get a quality enough offer to do so. Then looking down at this pie chart here in the corner, you can see a decent display of guys I have at my buy, guys I have at my sell, guys I have at my hold. You can view this as somewhat of an activity radar, where if you have a ton of green on your team, you are sitting great. You don't need to make trades unless they severely benefit you. Whereas if you're holding a lot of red, that's a team that I would recommend be extremely active and try and up tier on values, find players that you believe in more, players that the group believes in more with statistically based opinions. Looking up here to the buy and sell targets now. We're looking at a couple sell targets here. We got Brandon Ayuk and Jalen Waddle. I gave the reasoning. I am lower on them than the consensus value. If I can recoup the consensus value for them, that's a trade I'm looking to do every single time. I also have Trey McBride on this list. And really, I am even on Trey McBride, like I said earlier. But when you have someone like David Njoku waiting for his opportunity to come in, be the guy on your team that can start week in, week out, you're past the plug-and-play waiver wire type of guys that you'd find at most tight end rooms in this league. It's a luxury, and I'm willing to move on from it. Moving over to the buy targets, Aaron Jones is a guy I'm looking at to either move some of my already depleted draft capital for and pick something up back with him, or a guy that if I can shift off of a Waddle and get Aaron Jones plus back, Ayuk for Aaron Jones plus back, that's something I'm definitely willing to do. At the same time, I'm also attempting to pick up another wide receiver 1 to put along Puka as a 2-headed monster in my wide receiver room. This is something where I could attach a pick with Ayuk or with Waddle to move up and improve the value I have at receiver. I also have 2026 rookie picks where there's the Waddle and Ayuk that I keep going back to, but those are the only guys I'm lower on my own team, of course. If I can move off of them, add a depth piece plus a rookie pick, that's what I'm looking to do. Or if any valuable first from 2026 come onto the market, of course, I'm ready to pounce on those as well. Looking over here at league rank, in terms of total value, so this isn't necessarily, I think I'll get second place next year. It's for the long haul. The dynasty value of my team, I believe, is the second highest in the league. Of course, you can say it's biased, you can say it's skewed. All the data comes directly from my own rankings. So, take that as you will. But, I also have my path as contend and compete. Due to valuable age I have on my roster and limited shelf like players that I have still, like a Trey Benson, no, not a Trey Benson, sorry, like a James Conner, like a Calvin Ridley, Devontae Adams, where they're tailing off into their late 20s, early 30s, just trying to scrape by as many points as you can, and you know you'll never get the value back on them that you would have liked. So we got one more chart here to go over, and that is the value distribution chart I have here. You can see here, it's color tiered based on the asset. So for example, this great big lightish green is Devon Achane, RB3. Ton of value with him. This one in the wide receiver spot, Puka Nacua. And you can break down the lines. Of course, if you reach out to me, I will give you labels for these. It's a pain to try and put them on and change all the text without altering the chart too much. But for example, I already know it is Achane, Chuba, Benson, Connor, and then this little sliver here is Madison, who, like I said, I need to cut. He's not even on this sheet. Wide receiver, you can see the same thing, tight end, and draft picks. This gives you a decent view of places you could upgrade your team, places you're overstocked at. For example, you see I have all these valuable pieces of wide receiver, and my draft pick is at half of basically any other position outside of quarterback. So that's a place that I'm actively looking to improve and make better. I think that about wraps up our first video here. Gives you a taste of the league. This will be a great reference point to go back to as I'm referencing teams throughout this series. You'll be able to see if they're lucky that they're this good right now, if they stumbled into the best wide receiver room I've seen in the league. That is true for this league. We'll get to that eventually. Or if they've been consistently good and trying to keep that exact same pace going throughout the future as well. With all that being said, that will be the end of this video, and I hope that you'll return to see some more of the teams in the next one that I upload. Peace.